I need to admit something to you guys. I'm a fraud. From what you see online, you probably think I'm one of those people who starts putting up Halloween decorations on August 1st. My house should be a neighborhood Halloween legend, but it's not. Last year, this was me on YouTube for Halloween, and this was me at my actual Halloween party. I don't even have one of those 12-foot Home Depot skeletons. If I don't shape up soon, they're gonna revoke my Halloween license. That's why this year I am finally gonna take Halloween seriously. I'm gonna build the ultimate spooky decoration, a mimic. And not just any mimic. This thing's gotta be big enough to eat me. Wait, phrasing, let's take that again. A few months ago, I went to the 20-Sided Tavern show in New York City, and they had this big prop mimic, and as much as I wanted to give him a loving home, I couldn't steal it because it was too big for a carry-on. No other reason. But I couldn't stop thinking about it, and the more I thought, the more I was like, I can do better than that. I'm gonna start with an actual chest. Facebook Marketplace is full of trunks and chests that nobody wants, and I know this because I've ended up with 2 separate ones for free. I found one for $35 that's made of actual wood and has a rounded lid, so I'm gonna go pick that up later today. There are really 3 key parts of a mimic: the eyes, the teeth, and the tongue. First, the eyes, the windows to the soul. Or in this case, the windows to a condemned old house with something feral living inside. I really want the eyes to be different sizes because I feel like that helps with the mutant kind of vibe. I think I'm gonna pick up some of those clear plastic ornaments that come in 2 halves so I can spray paint the inside orange and the outside will be nice and glossy. For the teeth, I have a ton of 1/2-inch foam, so I'm thinking I'll just cut tooth shapes out from that. I wanna make sure these aren't too rigid because anytime I put something or someone into the chest itself, they're likely to get bumped into. And I'm pretty sure mimics don't get dental benefits, so the good thing about foam is that they'll be flexible. Both the teeth and the eyes are supposed to be kind of erupting from the wood flesh of the chest. Ew, sorry for saying it like that. Anyway, I need something that I can sort of organically sculpt. I've never used foam clay before, but it seems like a good option for this because it's lightweight and it air dries. It is kind of risky to rely on a material that I've never used before for kind of a make or break part of the build, but I live on the edge, I guess. Last, the tongue, AKA the pseudopod. I know what you're thinking. What'd that tongue do? Great question. Melee weapon attack, +5 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 target. I know, pretty hot. There are a few things I want from the tongue. Ooh, phrasing. I want it to be posable. I want it to have that iconic blue to purple gradient, and I want it to look wet. Go ahead, write the comments, I'll wait. I found what is apparently the only fabric in the world that has a blue to purple gradient, a glossy look, and a 4-way stretch, and I'm ordering 2 yards of it. I'm thinking I'll give the tongue a wire base and then stuff it with polyfill so it's like a posable plush. So that's the plan. I'm gonna go ahead and place all of my online orders now, and then I will head out to pick up the chest. I guess this explains why he wasn't texting me back. Hey, I'm trying to shoot today's World Anvil sponsorship. You didn't happen to absorb my articles, did you? Oh, is that what those were? They were delicious. How am I supposed to demonstrate their world-building toolkit when you've engulfed all my materials? Do you really have all of it in there? The wiki-style articles, interactive nestable maps, family trees, stat blocks, and character sheets? Of course not. That's all been completely consumed by acid already. But don't worry, with World Anvil's new article editor, it's easier than ever to make new ones. Great. What more could I ask for than a streamlined system to redo all my work? Exactly! You can see your formatting in real time, make instant tables and lists, drag and drop images. There's even spell check now. Users were asking for a more beginner-friendly editor, and World Anvil delivered. I mean, that does sound handy. How do I try it? You can use the link in the description to try World Anvil for free, and when you inevitably fall in love with it and want to unlock all the features, you can get 51% off any annual membership with the code Ginny. Okay, I'll try it out, but maybe this time you could also just not absorb them. Well, that isn't very realistic though, is it? Good news, I have all my materials. Bad news, Halloween is literally just a few days away, so I need to call in the cavalry, the only people who will drop everything to do hours of unpaid manual labor, helping me do the world's stupidest and least important project, my parents. I wanted to make sure we got a big enough chest, because a mimic is supposed to be able to eat people, so I think first we should just test it and see if it could eat me.
Yeah. Easily. Oh, piece of cake.
Piece of cake!
Piece of cake. I think they could even eat your mother.
Downright roomy. You want to try it? While my dad is wrecking this lovely wooden chest with power tools downstairs, my mom and I have been making teeth. We need around 30, plus 1 or 2 dozen little guys for the spikes on top of the eyes. Also, using a Dremel to shape these teeth has awoken a new passion in me for monster dentistry. I think if I ever quit YouTube, that'll be my backup career. You gotta be realistic about these things. Okay, it's time to turn these clear plastic ornaments into some glowing beacons of malevolence. I am spray painting the insides with a combination of orange and red, and I dug out some battery-powered Christmas lights that we don't use. They will be sacrificed to our grand cause of making the Mimic's eyes glow. That's pretty cool. Mimic's eyes don't glow, canonically, but here's a monster biology fact for you. Stuff that lights up is cool. That's just science. I'm gonna be honest, it's looking a little rough at this point. A little like a 12-year-old's Destination Imagination build. No, that's not fair. A lot of 12-year-olds could do better than this. But I promise the foam clay is gonna make a huge difference. I assume. I've never used it before. Oh my god, what have I gotten myself into? So I think by cutting the fabric diagonally, we can get a pretty neat blue to purple gradient along the entire length and just avoid this teal color entirely. I know, very out of character for me. Maybe I should just change my plan and make a teal-colored Mimic, Ginny D variant. No, that would be stupid. Anyway, this is basically just gonna be a stuffed slug, so I'm gonna freehand it. My parents are headed home, but I'm gonna do a little more work tonight on account of being a fool who makes foolish choices. Earlier, my dad spotted this small chest on my shelf that was just holding Warbler scraps, and he was like, "Want a baby Mimic?"
Deciding to...
Should we consider
I totally would
making
do.
a tiny Mimic? And if so, should I spray paint some of these too? At first I was like, no way, that's way too much responsibility. They might start out cute, but next thing you know, everything in the house is sticky and the neighbors are starting to disappear. But then I remembered that there is actually a juvenile Mimic stat block in Tasha's. It's a tiny monstrosity. So I'm gonna do it. My Mimic is gonna be a mama. Look at the baby. Okay, it's pretty late and Josh wants to watch Rings of Power, so I'm gonna do the healthy thing and stop working and just relax. Psych, can't believe you fell for that. I had this idea looking at the Mimic art to use glass beads to simulate the little adhesive saliva bubbles on the tongue. So I'm just gonna sew these onto the little Mimic while we watch and see if it looks anything like what I'm picturing. Good morning, adventurers! My parents are on their way over to help me with the foam clay sculpting today. Doing this part on the little Mimic took me just over 4 hours, so I definitely need all hands on deck or this is gonna take me all day. I have so much foam clay, but the Mimic is so big that I'm still not completely sure that we'll have enough. Plus, the thicker we layer on the foam clay, the longer it takes to dry, and we can't prime it until it's dry, and we can't paint it until it's primed, and we can't put it on the front porch to scare the crap out of neighborhood children until it's painted. So I'm thinking we'll build up a foundation from scrap foam and then just use the foam clay to smooth everything out. There's my unpaid labor now. We have belatedly realized that we can't paint the inside of the chest with the tongue in the way, so we've removed it again, and now we're gonna spray paint the inside black. You just can't call it a toothy maw if the inside is cheerfully lime-washed. Okay, the Mimic is out sunbathing to try and help the foam clay and the spray paint dry. I am very thankful that it is not snowing yet. You never know in Colorado, it could be any day now. In the meantime, I'm going to add some more fabric to the base of the tongue just to make sure that we have enough to mount it. Yes, to mount the tongue. Come on, guys, you gotta stop objectifying the Mimic. I can see you in the comments, cracking jokes about her pseudopod, calling her a MILF. Mimic I'd like to f. But she deserves better than that. She has a child to raise. The system has failed her, and she has to work 2 dungeons just to make ends meet. I'm not mad at you guys. I'm just disappointed.
I think I can take it from here. All right,
All right.
well, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Get back to your lives
Call
now.
us when you have some other weird project.
I will.
Okay, day 3. It's just me this time. My to-do list for today is to prime all of the foam clay and then paint all of the foam clay. I'm also gonna sew those glass beads onto the tongue, and I'm gonna replace the missing side handles on the chest. We added some casters to the bottom so that it would be easier to move around, but most of the time when I'm filming, I'm impatient and I don't wait for Josh to help me carry something heavy, which is why my basement walls are totally covered in scrapes and dents. So having handles on the sides will make it a lot easier to continue making those bad decisions. Homestretch. I'm using Flex Bond to prime everything. Just 1 coat should be enough, and thankfully it dries pretty quickly, so by the time I'm done priming the big mimic, the little one should be dry enough to paint. I'm starting with the teeth, and I'm using an off-white color because there is no way that a mimic would have whiter teeth than me. I think we've already established they don't get dental. It takes a few coats, but thankfully I live in a state so dry that nobody bats an eye at people carrying 32-ounce water bottles everywhere they go, so there isn't much of a wait between coats. I'm gonna try to match the brown paint to the wood and make some attempt at recreating the wood grain, but we're running out of time, and I'm a little baby who should be in bed by now, so I'm not making any promises. The last step is to water down some brown paint and give those teeth a nice grime. Imagine your diet is nothing but unwashed adventurers who are already several long rests deep into a dungeon crawl. You're probably gonna have your fair share of plaque. On the little mimic, I anchored down the base of the tongue with hot glue, but that feels too weak for something mommy mimic's size, so I'm going to use a staple gun for her. Fun fact, this was my grandfather's staple gun. They don't make them like they used to. Except that my dad chose to give me this one instead of his newer, stronger staple gun, so maybe they actually make them better than they used to. The mounting hardware for the side handles is still intact, so I'm just gonna sew some new strips of black pleather and then hand stitch them onto the sides of the chest with some embroidery floss, because that seems more likely to hold up to the weight of the entire chest than regular thread. And then all that's left is sewing a bunch of sticky spit beads onto the tongue. Honestly, I don't know if it looked better with or without the beads. Usually the more detail that a prop or costume has, the better it looks, but I'm in too deep to be objective about this. I'm just putting one foot in front of the other at this point. I think they're done. They look so cute together. I want to write this as an encounter so bad. Imagine your players walk into a room and there's a big treasure chest and a tiny treasure chest. It's literally the mimic version of Don't Talk to Me or My Son Ever Again. Anyway, I'm going to bed because it's almost 2 in the morning, but tomorrow you're getting the big reveal. Oh my god, it is such a mess in here. And that is why I always carry a sword. I'm definitely gonna put this on the front porch so that the neighborhood will finally recognize me as their rightful Halloween queen. But I've seen way too much true crime to put the front of my house on YouTube, so you'll just have to trust me. Clearly this mimic is big enough to eat medium creatures, but what about the little one? Mommy mimic can't feed it bite-sized bits of adventurers forever. At some point, it needs to learn how to hunt. And that's why I asked my mom to bring over her newest foster kitten. That was way too cute to be in the last section of the video. I really buried the lead there. I am so happy with how they came out. This was one of those projects where it looked like a huge mess until the very last minute when it all came together. My only regret is that I built my own when there are so many perfectly lovely monsters in shelters who need loving homes. Adopt, don't shop. Now, you might be asking, where the heck is she gonna store this? And that is a question that my husband is also asking, plaintively, with desperation in his eyes. But thanks to its spacious interior, the mimic actually is storage. So, checkmate. By the way, my friends and I were trying to come up with names for the mimics. We're pretty sure the baby is Chester, but we can't decide on the mom's name. I'm thinking Mimi, but my friend Jessie wants Boxan. Boxan! You don't have to wear that chest tonight. What do you think? Can you do any better? Give me your mimic name suggestions in the comments.